I love how the blue of the pot on the table matches the blue of Chad's socks. What's up, Clean My Space Nation? Welcome to another episode of Dream Home Reno here on the Clean My Space channel.
This week, we are very excited to share with you this room that we are sitting in the real estate listing. They called it the Great Room, and for good reason. It's a pretty great room. The Reno reveal, everything was so exciting. It was super intense. I want to say we spent the most money on furniture in this room. Yes. We had to do the most blank slate envisioning in this room, from color choices to some new elements. So lots of excitement. We can't wait to show you. So I'm gonna zip it and pass it over to Chad.
If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the Clean My Space channel. And be sure to give this video a like if you are enjoying the Dream Home Reno series. And without further ado, let's get right into it.
Most importantly, I want you to look up. Look at the ceiling. You'll see that there's a beam there. That is about to change. But this moment where Chad finally decided to remove everything from this room, all of those hardwood floor boxes, sweep it up a little bit, and start to lift up that ever dirtied paper, we finally got to see what the room would look like in all of its glory, with the paint on the walls, the new trim, and of course the beautiful hardwood floors. It goes without saying that the windows were in a pretty rough spot.
They were horrible. It really goes to show how much construction and reno dust ends up getting everywhere. It was caked all over the window and all of the window screens.
In fact, when you're renovating, you should expect to clean any given surface 2 to 3 times. Now, Chad, your technique here was to spritz all of the windows with extra strength vinegar and use one of our cloths using the S pattern.
Maker's microfiber cloth with an S pattern. You know, I've learned from the best.
Now here's a moment we were really excited about. When Chad and I bought this house and we saw this room, we said there is only one place we can get our furniture from. And it was the one place that we just are obsessed with, which is
Restoration Hardware.
Yeah, except we went to the
Restoration Hardware outlet.
Yeah, because these couches were
50% off.
And very
expensive to begin with.
When we walked into the outlet, we saw this pair of beautiful 9-foot long, extra deep brown couches. And when we saw them, we knew these belonged in our home. Also, they looked beat up, so we didn't have anything to worry about because we knew they were gonna take a beating in our house. Of course, one of the things that comes along with buying a house with a lot of windows and doing a reno is figuring out the window covering situation. This is something that neither of us had really anticipated would have been such a challenge.
And that's why we turned to a professional.
In our old house, we actually had to buy window coverings, and that presented itself to be much more stressful than we initially thought, which is why it made more sense to bring someone in to help us with this.
The person we brought in was Jordan Klein from ShadeWorks.
And he made everything much, much easier.
Jordan took the time to sit us down and go through every single variation of shade and blind or window covering.
Thickness, color,
opacity,
I don't know. You guys know what we're talking about.
He covered it all.
Now, one thing that he did, which really excited us, was he introduced us to Lutron shades, which you can control with a remote or an app, and you can actually schedule. This seemed a little fancy at the time, but let me tell you, this has been a worthwhile investment. Now, we also wanted to make sure we had blackout blinds for the bedrooms, so that was another thing that we had to take into consideration. Oh yeah, and we needed something that was pretty secure for the bathrooms as well.
The selection of shades and colors and fabrics and styles was actually mind-blowing. It was like a lesson in window coverings.
I actually don't think we got 2 of the same window treatments in any room.
I don't think we did either.
I think everything had to be so specific to its purpose and the color and what made sense to go where and whether we were going to have them to be electronic or not.
So because all of the shades that were going to be installed are custom, this is just part 1 of the Shade Adventure.
The Shade Adventure. Sounds like a ride at a theme park that home designers go to. Just to give you an idea of timelines, yes, it is in and around the winter holidays. We are unboxing, unwrapping, unstringing,
Unraveling a Christmas tree?
and cleaning up after it. What a pig.
Yes, this year we decided to get a real Christmas tree.
But not a real fire.
We got these awesome twinkly lights to go on our tree. They're LED and you can control them from your phone, and they sparkle and you can have...
And they spark joy.
And they spark joy.
The holiday joy.
So is this the first time you've trimmed a real Christmas tree, Melissa?
I feel like I did it last year. We had a little skinny tree. But yeah, this was probably my first year doing the tree, and my menorah was up as well, so don't worry, on my people.
A few weeks later, and we have another visit from our friend Jordan from ShadeWorks, and this time he brought a few friends along. 2 friends to be exact, one named Nate, one named Ted, and they were here to install our new shades.
Let's just call them friends with payroll benefits. Now, from someone in the cleaning industry, I can tell you, installing window coverings properly is so important. I can't tell you how many houses we've gone to where the window coverings have not been installed properly and fall off at the lightest touch. So I knew that they were doing a great job because they took so much time to install them properly and ensure that they were actually going to stay affixed to the wall. I know it sounds small, but you gotta believe me, it's a big deal.
They did a bang-up job, and Ted and Nate were delightful people, and we were listening to music, yacht rock, through the entire time.
Which means Michael McDonald. Let's be honest.
Michael McDonald was being played.
Okay, this was exciting.
This was exciting. This is our bedroom, and this is the living room, and these are our new automatic shades. And before we knew it, it was time to say goodbye to our friends at ShadeWorks. But they had left us with some amazing window coverings.
And you had left us with a mess on the ottoman. Clean up after yourself, Chad.
Sorry about that. And here's another special day. It's time to move all of the furniture that we just moved into this room, out of this room, because today's the day
that we get capped.
Capped. That's right, you've been wondering, what are we going to do with that huge beam which runs across the middle of the room? Melissa, why don't you explain why that beam's there in the first place?
This actually used to be 2 separate rooms, and in the basement, the layout is essentially the same. So we have 2 smaller rooms that are divided by a wall. Now, what the homeowner did, who previously owned the house, was they took the wall down. But if you remember from the before shots, they actually had a seam along the middle of the wall, and this beam remained, this white beam. So when Chad and I saw it, we saw a real design opportunity. Rather than to cover it up, we decided to highlight it, but we wanted to bring some natural elements into the home. We also thought it would be really cool to take the mantle and make it match the beam. We just thought it would really add to the rustic appeal of the room.
So to cap the beam, to replace the mantle, and to bring in a new live edge floating shelf in our entryway, we contacted a local artist, a very talented woodworker who took care of all of this for us.
It was really interesting because we got to pick the grain of the wood, we got to pick the actual stain, and everything matches, and it just looks so perfectly coordinated. And it also brought in those outdoor elements that we thought were so vital to the space.
So after a day of installing our new wooden accent pieces, it was time to clean up and put all of the furniture back into our great room.
I just want to be clear, I know you guys think, wow, Chad is always cleaning up. Wow, wow, wow. Well, let me tell you something. Chad also conveniently sets up a camera to film himself cleaning, and interestingly enough, only films me cleaning on Tuesdays when we shoot Clean My Space videos.
They've seen you clean up enough, so I just figured I would, share the load with you, Melissa.
All right. Now, the fun thing about this room was finding little decor elements that we could bring in. We found a couple of throw pillows that matched nicely. We're using our old ottoman from the old house, and also a couple of cozy blankets.
A couple of stockings hung by the chimney with care, and finally, our 1 million subscriber plaque to be placed on the mantle.
The before and after of this room to me is by far one of the most amazing makeovers that we've done in this house. And this room is nowhere near completed, but Chad and I have made a very important decision. You see, we love spending time in this room with Riley and hopefully with future children as well. And we know that everything can't be absolutely beautiful and pristine because some of this stuff is going to get ruined. So rather than getting an expensive rug and artwork for the walls, we're just going to leave things for now and see how we settle into the space, what it really needs. And then once our family is a little bit older, we can invest in some finishing pieces so that the room can really shine. But of course, we don't have to worry about it getting too banged up. I also love seeing how the room changes over the seasons. You know, once Christmas was over, we brought in some plant elements, and we'll talk more about that in a future video. But it's just such a beautiful room to play around with, and no matter the season, it just looks gorgeous and so welcoming. We've had parties in this room with upwards of 20 people, and they've all been able to hang out comfortably. But of course, our favorite party is our family party with Riley, and we keep all of our toys behind that sofa there. When she comes home from daycare, we kind of put everything out, we bring her home, we play with her, and this is probably her favorite room to hang out in. What we didn't include was the Grover and Elmo voices. Hopefully you can see why we totally fell in love with this room when we first walked into the house. And frankly, that's why we ended up buying it. We walked in, we were hit with all of these windows in this big open room.
It was a nice sunny day when we visited the house.
Yeah, like today.
Yes.
And we could just envision like our friends and family hanging out in here, and you know, we started to put some project ideas together with the beam and everything, but of course we had to actually go through all the motions and get it done. But today, sitting in this room, like it is my happy place.
Here we are.
So before we get on to the questions, we owe a huge thank you to our episode sponsor, ShadeWorks. Now, Jordan Klein works with ShadeWorks. He's part owner of the company. He was the one who came over, you saw him. Not only was he funny and sweet, so like personality check, he was also so professional and so helpful. I really felt like I knew nothing about window coverings. He really held our hand through the process. He guided us from, you know, the thickness of the material to the color of the material. He really knew his stuff.
Shades are something that you often don't think about in a house, being kind of like that really nice finishing touch.
Or it's kind of like that question mark, like, I don't know what I'll do with window coverings.
Exactly. Should I invest in window coverings? Does it really matter? Should I just throw some drapes up? No, invest in window coverings.
And like in our last house, we had the experience where we just got our window coverings out of the box, and they were nowhere near the type that we have now.
It's true. It's true. We really stepped up our shade game. So thank you very much to ShadeWorks for helping us out.
And of course, a big thanks to our series sponsor, Armstrong Hardwood Flooring, for our beautiful hardwood floors that you guys are still loving, and we're of course still loving. And if you want to learn more about the color that we chose or Armstrong, you can visit our website, cleanmyspace.com. Same goes for ShadeWorks, and you can see our source guide.
All right, let's get on to some questions from the last video. I think conforming to society's accepted decor fads is completely unoriginal and completely takes the uniqueness and individuality away from your space. So I love that you did your own thing as far as the design of your space and the wall colors are concerned. Congratulations. So I'm not just reading that because it's someone patting us on the back, but
Actually, Chad, I think you are.
Okay, so I'm reading that because it's someone who is patting us on the back. I like your ceiling light. Where did you get it from? And this was actually asked quite a few times, so I decided to throw this in.
All right, the ceiling light we're obsessed with too. It is called Kinetic, and it's made by a company called Modern Forms. All the info is available on the source guide, but you can just go to the Modern Forms website and you'll see it there.
And for those of you who are asking about the dining room chandelier, it is also a Modern Forms light.
They make really good stuff.
They make really, really good stuff. I'm just not too sure the name of that one. Who is Michael McDonald? I love this video and I cannot believe Melissa is 36 years old because you look 23-ish. So I included this because
Okay, these are all self-serving comments.
It's a wonderful compliment to you. But more importantly, who is Michael McDonald? I'm going to link down below in the description Michael McDonald's Wikipedia page where you can learn all about one of the greatest singers of all time.
Someone said to me, a friend of mine was like, who's this country singer that Chad keeps talking about? It was really funny.
The glass stair rail looks like an office building. I'm sorry. And we also did have this comment a few times. I guess people think glass and metal kind of looks a little cold.
Well, we do work here.
So it is like an office.
That.
That's the most chill cat on the planet. A lot of people mentioned me picking up Molly in the way that I pick up Molly at the beginning of the video. And most people were so surprised that you can kind of handle a cat that way. And Molly's really not that cat. I have the ability to do it with
Yeah,
her.
I
but-
certainly can't pick her up and do gymnastics, but I can do other little things with her. Oftentimes she is like a big ball of dough and you can kind of manipulate her. But if you're a woman and you come over, she will hiss at you.
It's true. But all in all, she's a pretty chill
She's
cat.
a cat. What can we say?
Not that you two need any more jobs, but would you ever consider painting the brick of the outside of your house? And I wanted to ask you this on camera. What do you think of the red brick of the exterior of our house? Clearly it came with the house. We didn't really have much say in it.
Yeah. Red brick would probably be my last choice for a house color, but it's like one of those things like if your house is on the side with a sidewalk, you can't really pick whether, unless you're buying off a plan, whether your house is on that side or has a red brick color. You can't really pick any of that stuff.
It's true.
But I'm just sort of accepting it. I mean, people on our street, they have beautiful red homes as well, and we like to look at, okay, what else are they doing? What have they done with the roof? What have they done with pillars? Like, we're just trying to, what have they done with the door? Like, we're just trying to figure out what we can do with it. I think that endeavor, painting the outdoor brick, would be probably pretty onerous and time consuming.
And there's a lot of brick out there.
And
so.
I don't know if we want to reface the house. There is something quite charming about the exterior.
There is, and personally, I actually really like red brick, so I also included this because I wanted to find out from you guys, what do you think of red brick exterior? I think it's very classic. I think like of a nice old
classic.
Victorian style home, especially when you match it with white like they have done on our house, or you can sometimes use like dark browns and other kind of like natural wood colors, and it just seems to pop. And I think red is also kind of like just like a very typical traditional brick color. But what are your
Brick
opinions?
thoughts.
What are your brick thoughts? And just like that, we are wrapped for another Dream Home Reno episode. Thanks again, guys, so much for following along. This is such an exciting series. We still have quite a few rooms left to reveal. I think the next one is Riley's nursery. So that should be a very, very exciting
Although
one.
there's no nursing taking place in the nursery, so I feel like it's just Riley's room.
No, why don't we just call it Riley's bedroom?
I think that works. My whole body thinks that name works. And if you can't wait for another episode of Dream Home Reno to come out, you can follow us on Instagram. I'm at Melissa Maker. Chad is at the Chad Reynolds. The two of us are at Clean My Space. You might see sneak peeks of other rooms around the house, Riley pictures, and occasional cat pictures, and other things that we like to get up to. We do have more hobbies than cats in our house. Anyway, if you haven't done so already, make sure that you subscribe to the Clean My Space channel to catch more Dream Home Reno content, but also our regularly scheduled cleaning content. All right, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.